Hey babes, this is Sharonda Isadora and welcome to Briz and Babe Reviews. And during this video, I will be doing another book review. That review will be on Girl Gone Viral by Alisha. So you'll see this video here. This book is released this upcoming week on April 21st. So you'll see if you follow the blog. If not, why aren't you? But if you follow the blog, you'll see the review posted release date as well. So this is the second book in her Modern Love series. The couple that is involved in this book is, or the individuals involved in this book is Katrina King and Jasvinder Singh. So what we have is, now generally you guys know I give you the blurb, I'll read the blurb to you, and then I give you my thoughts. I'll do things a little bit different. I'm going to bypass the blurb. I give you a general overview of what the blurb says or is about. So what happens with this book, the reason for the title Girl Gone Viral, we have Katrina, who is this wealthy woman, thanks to her now dead husband. No, she didn't kill him. And she stays wealthy because of investments that she makes, after she got this money, after the death of her husband. Her husband was a very rich man. So she ends up going viral because she's in this coffee shop, and this guy asked her to sit at a table where she was sitting there minding her business, reading her book, and they start this cute little conversation or whatever. The guy was trying to hit on her. The guy did attempt to ask her out, but because Katrina is in love with her bodyguard, Jasvinder, she politely turned him down. So what happens is the nosy ass lady next to them couldn't mind her business, took a picture of them and tweeted about how she thought they were so cute together and da-da-da and all this other stuff. So the tweet goes viral. Now, Katrina has anxiety issues and panic attack issues. She was kidnapped and attacked in the past. And she was hurt during that and stuff like that. So she has real bad anxiety issues that leads her to having these really, really bad panic attacks. So Katrina does not want to go viral. She does not want her face out there. She don't want nobody to know who the fuck she was. When she was in the shop, she did have a low hat on her head and all that other stuff. So when this goes viral and she's going through the motions, Jasvinder, who has his own issues, suggests that they go to his family's farm. They're in California, somewhere in western, eastern California somewhere. So that's what happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the pros of this book, what I thought about this book, and some other things, maybe. All right. So the pros of this book I enjoyed, or I liked, was Katrina and the conversations between her and her therapist. I thought that was a good thing for the author to put inside of the book, to see the actual conversations that was going on between Katrina and her therapist regarding her anxiety, the panic attack she would, have, she was in this coffee shop because she was actually trying to put herself back out in the public, in small doses, you know what I mean? So we had that aspect as well. So I enjoyed that. Now, on the flip side of that, what I wanted to see was more conversations of Jasvinder seeking or, speaking to some type of therapist. Jasvinder was a military vet and he had a really bad experience in the military, and that led to him being this, kind of like cut off person. He didn't like to be, sounds, unexpected sounds and things like that you know, startled him, you know what I mean? So I would have liked to see, you know, more conversations of him actually seeing a therapist. We do get conversations of people suggesting therapy to him once they find out, you know, that he's actually having these issues, because Jasvinder is a very closed off person. And this is another thing we come inside of the book. He wasn't really telling everybody what was going on with him. He really was the silent type, you know what I mean? And, you know, this led to some issues between himself, his family, mainly his little brother, and his grandfather, which is all resolved by the time we get to the end of the book. We do get a little burst of him having some type of therapy is when him and Katrina find his dog on the farm. So, you know, but I still would have liked to see more as far as him having, you know, some type of mentions of him that he used to talk to a therapist or something, because man, I tell you, he had it bad. But it was good to see that she did mention what veterans go through when they have a really terrible, you know, when they really have a really terrible experience while, you know, while they're in service. You know, it was really good to see that she mentioned, you know, him having really bad PSTD inside of this book. The other thing I liked was the whole aspect of the story, you know, is Katrina going viral, on how sometimes with these viral stories, how social media can really turn out to be a predatory place, especially once a person goes viral and now everybody trying to find out who this person is. This person, you know, life is really like upended. And this, she really gives us like both sides of it, like the people who really enjoy it and the people who want to get famous off of going viral, and the people who don't. In Katrina's case, she didn't want to know. I mean, she didn't want to get famous. She didn't want She didn't want people to know who she was. Whereas you had the dude that she was talking to and the lady that actually tweeted the tweet, they were soaking up the celebrity isms that was happening to them. So I like that. I like that she gave us both perspectives of it, and how people just, you know, tend to forget that sometimes there are actual people behind these viral stories that don't want that limelight, that don't want that spotlight. So that was a good aspect of the story. And the other thing I liked was seeing Punjabi American history throughout this book, through Jasvinder, through his little brother, through his grandfather, through the town that Jasvinder grew up in, on the farm he grew up in. You know, it was really rich in history about, you know, the people and their culture. You know, even though they were like in this little small southern town of California, it was really a good thing to see. Now, this romance. Y'all, this romance, I can't even say it was a slow burning romance. This romance was just, at times, just boring as fuck. Like, it was just boring. I wanted to see, because there was so much going on between Jasvinder, you know, individually, and then with Katrina individually, you know, learning about her past, what happened, the relationship between her and her father, how it was so abusive, and then what happened to Jasvinder when he was in the service. Like, I felt like at times, like, the romance really got lost in all this other stuff that was going on, especially once they got to this farm and, you know, they were interacting with Jasvinder family. Again, good, because we got to see, you know, mentions of Punjabi American history. But the romance, because you just really had these two just walking around throughout the book like, oh, I love her, oh, I love him, I can't tell him I love him, I can't tell her I love her, she's my boss, he's my employer, you know, my employee. What is, like, shut up and just somebody fuck, hump, dry hump, do something. It was just too much at times. Like, even the mention of you know, this viral, of her going viral, even that at times got lost with everything else that was going on around them. And in my honest opinion, I really feel like it would have been better if we had gotten this lady actually taking a picture of her and Jasvinder talking, and you know, them going viral, and then, you know, them being at this farm, you know, trying to work through, you know, whatever they're trying to work through and all that other stuff. So I don't know, I just thought that would have been, in my opinion, a better perspective to see. But I got, you know, the things again of, you know, people getting popular off of, you know, viral tweets and stuff like that. So I don't know, the romance was just really boring. Like, by the time 50% into this book, these two first kissed. And then maybe like 60, 70, 80% later, you know, we're seeing them having a sexual, you know, sexual relations, you know, but they still weren't really, you know, trying to really like get with each other like that. And I was just like literally at the end of this book, these two were telling themselves that, you know, or telling each other that they loved them. And I was, you know, that they loved each other. And I was just like, well, bitch, you know, like, okay, sis, okay, bro, you're like, you know, I guess, you know, like, I don't care about this now, you know what I mean? And I really feel like once we got towards the end of that story, you know, we had this, I felt like it was unnecessary to see the situation at the end of the story that went down with the father, because we knew what the father was. We, you know, we knew how he operated and stuff like that. So I thought bringing the situation between her and her father at the end of that book was just unnecessary, and it just added these additional chapters that we really didn't need. Like, this book had 32 goddamn chapters, and in chapter 32 they was like, I love you, and I was like, bitch, what? That could have been an epilogue. I don't care no more. So for me, you know, going into this romance and just feeling like it wasn't really, you know, a romance there, I was just like, you know, so for me, that was my biggest issue reading this book. Like, I liked Katrina individually. I liked Joss Vender individually. But them together, I was just like, well, child, okay, I guess. You know, like, they just weren't interested together. Like, she took so long to put them together. I was just like, girl, don't nobody care no more, you know? So that was my biggest issue with this book. Also, I'm going to say it. You don't have to agree. I honestly feel like the author is doing diversity checkpoints with this series. Like, I get it. We all want to see a rainbow of ethnicities inside of books, you know, especially as a Black woman, you know, people of color, you know, we want to see that. But with this series, I'm going to tell y'all, I just feel like throwing all these different people up in here, it just feels forced. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel natural. You know what I mean? And I can't support that. You know, like, this is the second book in the series, and I didn't even, you know, the first book had its own goddamn issues on its own. You know what I mean? But with this book, the romance was just boring, you know? So, you know, I have no issues with this author. I think she writes well, but I think this particular series is just, it ain't good. It's just not good. I won't be reading any more books in this series. I won't be reading this series at all after this. I just feel like, you know, like, every time we got to some things in the book, literally, I was like, Joe, this don't even feel like this feels so goddamn forced. Like, why? So that's it, y'all. That's my review, my recap on Girl Gone Viral by Alisha Rye. I honestly requested this book expecting, you know, maybe she would have took the reviews, the honest reviews from that first book, and did better with the second one. And I was just like, girl, no. So that is it for me. Happy Sunday, and until the next one, later days. Bye.